Wake up, 49er fans. Larry Krueger, Damon Bruce, welcome to Wednesday, October the 23rd. Wake up. The Chiefs just added DeAndre Hopkins. Do the Niners need to make a big trade at wide receiver or somewhere else? We hit it all right now.
Oh, wake up indeed. We are brought to you by Sam's Chowder House, the best restaurant down in Half Moon Bay. And if you're coming out to the Bay Area for a 49ers game this year, make Sam's Chowder House part of your visit to the Bay Area. Everybody here in the Bay, they know what's up. We go to Sam's. This is no tourist trap. This is a fantastic restaurant that has everything you want. And getting you everything you want is something you probably need right now if you're a Bay Area sports fan. Larry, I don't know if you saw the tweet that made its rounds yesterday. Like, I saw it on my timeline. Jillian comes home from work and she's like, have you seen this? And I was like, what is it? And then she showed it to me. I'm like, yeah, I have seen it. Some Bay Area sports fan, some suffering Bay Area sports fan wrote, so the Dodgers are in the World Series. The Sharks still haven't won a hockey game. Only team in the NHL that's winless right now. And the 49ers best receiver was shot in the chest 6 weeks ago. So, that's how my season's going. That's how my sports calendar is going right now. And, the 49ers' healthiest receiver was indeed in the hospital with a gunshot wound just a few weeks ago. And look at how odd this year has been. There was an awful lot of rumor about the bad vibes. Well, bad vibes have caught up. Bad situations have caught up. And the 49ers got a losing record going into this Cowboys game, which means the price of poker is officially as high as it gets. You need to win. You need to start winning right now. Larry, I think they can win this game, trade or not. And I think that's where we should start today. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to everybody. Hit like and subscribe and help people, more people find the show and the algorithm. If you hit subscribe over here, subscribe over at Damon's channel. Anytime we go live.
Larry, I buried the headline. Congratulations to you and Kevin Krueger. 50,000 subs over on the Krug Show, buddy. I know how hard you've worked. I'm proud of you. You have really crushed it. You've inspired the hell out of me. You've helped the hell out of me. I'm nearly at 25,000. I'll be there in 48 hours, I bet. So thanks for showing the way, brother. You've done so well. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. And, I thanked a bunch of people, including yourself. I thanked my son especially. It's a grind. It's a grind, but you know what? We're having a ton of fun, and it's opened up all kinds of opportunities and avenues. And, I got people coming at me left and right, offering this and that and wanting to buy this and, part of the channel and all this stuff, partnering. And it's very interesting stuff. And I just want to say, thanks to everybody from every person in the chat to all the people I stream with, but most specifically my son Kevin, who has graduated from Cal Poly. He's got a construction management degree. He could go work for many construction management firms making a couple $100,000 a year, and instead said, Dad, I'd like to spend at least the first year out of college working on the Krug Show, and let's see what we can build it into. And I said, thank you, and I appreciate you. So he's working here, and he's not doing it pro bono. I pay him, but you know what? He does an amazing job, and he takes
Larry.
Content.
You need a kid. You need a
well,
kid.
He took our argument the other day from Monday, where we're back and forth, going, "Hey, you said Shanahan lacked courage, and I attacked you on it, and we went back and forth, and it was like whatever it was, like 10, 12-minute bit, right?" Well, Kev's smart enough to see that was juicy. Cut it, put it out there on YouTube in its own file, Damon. And I forget what he told me it's got, but it's got a lot. I mean, it's got thousands, like maybe 30,000 views or something like that. It's a crazy amount of views, more than we've gotten on a lot of things in the last week or two. So, or last month or two. So, there's a creative element to this thing that's very, very cool. But congratulations to you for almost getting to 25,000, onward and upward. And, as you can tell, it's like is it the radio world? It's not the radio world, but there's some things that are better and there's some things that are worse. And the things that are better are really cool that we can like do like video calls and kind of, we can be adaptable. Like right now, if all of a sudden the Giants, signed Juan Soto. Now, obviously you can't sign during the World Series, but you know what I'm saying? Let's just say right now the Giants signed Juan Soto and we're sitting here talking, Chiefs or whatever, or Niners. We can pivot and, do a whole stream on, the Giants just got Juan Soto, and it's very adaptable. It's very mobile. It's very easy to, to move around. So where on radio, you book a guest and you got a whole format, you know what I mean? It's a little bit harder to pivot. So I just love it. I love it. I'm enjoying it. The fans are great. It's different being 54 years old and looking, worse and worse every day and putting yourself in front of a camera, which is never my intention. So I apologize for my ugliness. But other than that, I love the content that we're putting out, and I love talking Niners, and I love talking with my friends on these streams, and I love talking with the fans and the call-in show. So it's been a blessing, and I'm thrilled to say that I'm a YouTuber.
I would also like to apologize for Larry's ugliness. It's really holding the show back. It's why we brought in Sam's Chowderhouse, so we could go to the video of better looking people and things. But man, congratulations.
From now on, that we'll do this format. Maybe we'll go with this from now on. Welcome to Wake Up, everybody.
Hey, nobody puts baby in a corner.
Damon and I'm over here.
Nobody puts baby in the corner, Larry. No. Congratulations to you and Kevin. What you need is a son who will work for juice boxes. I'm still at that age where they're just working for juice boxes. But, look, the 49ers and John Lynch got a lot of work this week, or maybe they actually don't, Larry. If I were them, I would approach any single trade here as carefully as any trade that they have made throughout their tenure together. Like, I would rather see the conviction of the draft picks that you made and the guys who have been waiting for opportunities who are already on your practice roster get elevated before I'm giving up future assets to bring in a season which, look, might be unsalvageable, but I wouldn't be further investing into this year knowing that McCaffrey and Greenlaw are expected to return, knowing that Deebo Samuel is going to be just fine here. And we'll get to the reaction of some things that I said about Deebo on Monday and people coming down my chimney. But look, it's an off season where they need every single one of their draft picks to be a San Francisco 49er who plays coming up, especially if Brock gets what we all think he's going to get. So I'd be very careful with any trade right here. And it's time to play the guys that you drafted to be 49ers. That's why they're on the team. Am I right? I mean, like, if you really fucking believe in Ronnie Bell, well, Kyle, here's your chance to show it to us. We don't believe it, but you insist that this guy is the right guy for your team. All right, then play him. Then I don't like it. I got my questions, but you know more about your roster than I supposedly do. You have all this conviction to keep Ronnie Bell on your roster. So now you got to play him. Fucking play him. Go down with the ship as you've built it.
I got to disagree on that. I'm not that I don't like the sentiment of looking internally, because I think you always do look internally first, right? If you have answers in house running around on the practice squad already in your locker room, yeah, you probably should go with them. I didn't like the idea to cut Terrace Marshall for Ronnie Bell, but I haven't liked a lot of their moves recently. I didn't like the move to pick up Devondre Campbell. And then they wound up cutting Jalen Graham and then re-signing Jalen Graham. And now, going from Campbell to Winters in this last game. I don't know. I mean, like, I saw even a scarier article. Somebody wrote an article yesterday saying that Tariq Owens could be a guy that helps them this year. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You absolutely have to be kidding me. I mean, I know a little bit about football personnel, and I know a raw wide receiver when I see one. And nobody is more raw than Tariq Owens. I mean, he is just ridiculously raw. And then you have Trent
Martin.
Taylor as well.
Elevate Trent Taylor, Dontavian Martin, right? What are those guys kicking the can around the parking lot for?
Who? I don't even know who Dontavian Martin is.
Wasn't he on this team? Was he on the practice squad?
No, not that I know of. I've never heard of that guy. But either way, Tariq Owens and Trent Taylor are receivers that do exist, and they are on your practice squad, but they're not going to help. And Ronnie Bell, I agree. I think that was a bad decision. I mean, I think he maxed out in college. He's a better player at Michigan than he is right now. He hasn't improved at all. And if anything, he's regressed. His ball skills are not as good. So this isn't about Ronnie Bell. This is about Cowing and Pearsall getting an opportunity. But even so, they need help. They need help. Here's the thing. Is it a vintage Niner team? No. Okay. Is it, should they give up on the season? I would say no, because they're still easily the best team in a lousy division. So I think they may be able to make the playoffs with 8 wins. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to take 10 double-digit wins to get into the playoffs. So, and once you're in, you're just a couple of wins away from going to the Super Bowl. And I've seen teams like the New York Giants in down years, find their way into a Super Bowl. So I wouldn't give up on the year. I don't know that I would trade a ton of assets in the future to go forward this year because it isn't a vintage Niner team. But I do think I would make some moves, and I do think I would be super aggressive trying to shake up the roster a little bit, adding speed where I can. To me, that's what they lack. They lack speed. They lack speed on the perimeter. They lack speed at linebacker. They lack speed on defense. They lack speed off the edges. They really lack speed. And a bunch of wide receivers today. DeAndre Hopkins became a chief for a 5th-round pick, which is going to help them quite a bit. They already have their vertical threat in Xavier Worthy. So DeAndre Hopkins is a perfect player for them because he complements what they do and their other receivers. If you're going to complement Debo and JJ and Pearsall, you've got to get somebody with some speed. The receivers that are out there that have speed are Garrett Wilson, if he's out there, Tutu Atwell, Christian Kirk, Elijah Moore, and Darius Slayton. Of that group, I would say Elijah Moore is probably the most available because the Browns have that disaster of Deshaun Watson's financial situation hovering over them. So they're moving. They're going to have a massive fire sale, and they're moving all kinds of guys, according to the reports I'm reading. Darius Slayton may make a lot of sense because he's big, he's fast, he runs 4.39, he's playing well, and maybe you could get like a defensive end like Azeez Ojulari in that deal with the New York Giants. So maybe you could go 2 for 1. It really depends on how they view their needs and what they view their needs as. I was suggesting Devin Lloyd and Darnell Savage from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Savage is a veteran DB and Lloyd is a veteran linebacker. And I think they need those 2 pieces. But they really need 4 pieces. They need a veteran DB. They need a fast linebacker. They need a speed rusher, and they need another receiver who also has speed. So how many of those needs can you fill internally or cheaply? I'll say this. I don't like the old receivers, and I don't like the slow receivers. If you want a slow receiver, go sign Isaiah Hodgins off the New York Giants practice squad. He went to Berean Christian High School. He's got NFL experience this year. He's got playoff experience. He's 6'4". He runs 4.6. He's not fast, but he is a dependable, big, tall, red zone threat. If I'm going to go for a slow receiver, I'd rather just sign him off the practice squad and pay nothing. If I'm going to trade for a receiver, I want speed. I want somebody who can run the deep route. And there was a rumor last night about Christian Kirk.
It's like saying, here I am in the World Series and all I need to do is add one more starting pitcher. They're really not available now. Like the guy you're looking for, the perfect prototype of what you think is going to fix the Niners, he ain't out there. He's not about to get traded. If the New York Giants had a player on the practice squad who was a 6'4" red zone threat, he'd be playing for the New York fucking Giants, So
he was, but they've drafted, Malik Neighbors and they've drafted Jalen Hyatt. I mean, the Giants have gotten caught up in a numbers game. They've got a really solid, big-bodied receiver in Isaiah Hodgins who doesn't run all that great, doesn't get tons of separation, but he's 6'4" and change and has great hands and would be a good pickup. All I'm saying is if you're going to go at, if you're going to trade for some of the guys I've heard rumored, Adam Thielen, Treylon Burks, Jacoby Myers. I'd rather go for Isaiah Hodgins than trade draft picks for those guys. Damon, give me 30 seconds. I came in here without a tissue, and now I'm getting a runny nose. I gotta get it. I gotta get a tissue. Hold
Get
on.
this man a tissue right now. Get it as fast as it can. So I'm going to tell you, with everything that Larry just suggested, I'm not here to just shut it all down. But I don't think that the 49ers have a problem that's even related to a wide receiver when I really look at their two biggest problems. The 49ers' two biggest problems are a special teams, which continues to be a massive failure week in, week out. The numbers on special teams are damning. And I've officially found, I don't want to give it to you right here. I'm going to wait till Larry comes back with his tissue. The single worst stat of the season that explains everything. Larry, while I'm sitting here vamping and you're getting your tissue, what I was saying, I don't even think the 49ers got that much of a problem at wide receiver. Just dance with who you brung. Like, I wouldn't put any more. I wouldn't invest any more. Cowing, let's see what you got. Ricky Pearsall, let's see what you got. Debo should be back out there this Sunday, if we're being totally honest. Pneumonia. Here's the thing.
They're rookies, though. They're rookies. And Pearsall only got 1.9 yards of separation this week. So he didn't get any separation. Cowing can separate. And you saw that down the field. I just think they need one more guy who can separate. If you're going to ask Brock Purdy to try to lead you to the playoffs, you got to give him a fighting chance by having, like JJ's a good receiver. He's slow. And Debo at this point is slow. They are really, really slow. So they got to get a little bit more speed. Like one of the reasons, Damon, that the Chiefs were so aggressive up on the line of scrimmage. I mean, the Chiefs put 9 guys in the box like 5 different times, I think, in this game. It's because they don't have any speed that worries them. They have no concern at all of the Niners throwing the ball over their head. I mean, the Niners, Damon, have gotten burned by verticals on defense, and on offense, they're getting burnt because they don't have the ability to go vertical.
Why is Jacob Cowing on the team?
He helps, but he's a rookie. I'm just saying they need.
Why would we put Jacob Cowing in the slot and just say run to the other end zone as fast as you can every snap?
They will. They are. I mean, you saw him used in this last game. He's going to be used going forward, but he's also, a rookie, and he's also small, and they may need some more help.
A couple rookie wide receivers. I didn't create the situation the 49ers find themselves in. They did.
But they weren't banking on those rookies to be the starters, and now they are because these other guys are hurt.
Well, but again, if you weren't planning on that, you should have done something via free agency to address that because you knew that Debo was going to get hurt. And the Brandon Ayuk thing was wonky and will never be right ever again. Let's face it. Brandon Ayuk is going to generate nothing but bad feelings going forward in a 49ers uniform. I just feel that it's not going to end well.
And he's out for the year. I mean, one of the things I wanted to say today is, I didn't see the Ayuk injury, the ugliest angle until literally just a day ago. And my thoughts and prayers go out to him. I mean, that was just a devastating hit on his knee. He never even saw it. He had a guy in between him. He never saw it, couldn't avoid it. And his knee bent in a way that it almost looked like his leg was going to snap in half. And it was just a crusher, just an absolute crusher.
Amazing. I thought he had the wind knocked out of him. Like normally you tear an ACL, your hands go to your knee as fast as humanly possible. You're just like, He didn't even grab at his knee when he was down there. So that must have been shock. And
did you see the angle?
Recovery? Yeah. It's not good. Not good.
It's awful. So, and then when he got up, I thought the same thing. I thought, oh man, hard hit. He just got shaken up. He got a wind knocked out of him. But then when he got up, and I'm on the binoculars, and I could see he could not put weight on that knee, on that leg. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not even a hitch in the giddy up. That's can't put any weight on it, and that's never ever good. So look, speedy recovery to Brandon Ayuk, but it'll be a calendar year before he's back. And
right. That means he's out a big part of next year.
Right. It's a calendar year before he's back. And it might be nowhere near a useful player anymore. I really don't know. I really don't know what to think of that. The 49ers invested in a guy that was not bearing much fruit and probably will bear even less going forward. And that's not good. You talk about separation. Larry, this team does have a separation problem. And the separation problem is the fact that they cannot generate any separation between them and their totally underachieving special teams coach, Brian Schneider. And to me, firing Brian Schneider would be more important and help the 49ers going forward than any wide receiver or player that you could add. This is addition by subtraction. You can't find a group who is getting it done less than Brian Schneider's kick and punt return coverage. Matt Barrows today had the damning numbers. The 49ers are allowing 18.4 yards per punt return, dead last in the NFL. They're allowing 33.2 yards per kickoff return, which is 29th in the NFL. That it's a clown show of coverage, and that is more than just, well, the rookie's uncomfortable handling the punt or blah, blah, blah. This is about staying in your running lanes and making a tackle. And these guys don't do that, to the point where I don't know why there hasn't been. I even saw you tweet this morning, like, could be time for a special teams change. I've been saying this for a month. You don't get to play I think they should make the special teams change card. I told you they should make the special teams change card, and they might go down in flames if they don't. And they are doing just that, aren't they? I mean,
what? They're not doing that. They're not changing the special teams.
They're not making the change.
Yeah.
They are going down in flames. That's the worst, but it's still
I don't know if they're going down in flames. I think right now, if you said, are the 49ers closer to winning their division or going down in flames, I would say winning the division. I think they're still going to win the division. I mean, I can't say they're going down in flames, because I think their
special teams is going down in flames.
Yeah, well, especially. And it's funny that Matt had those, because I did a live stream last night with Raj, and I brought it up on the live stream that the Niners are allowing 18.4 yards per punt return. It's the worst in the league. 33.2 yards per kickoff return, 29th in the league. Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it. It's like, at this point, first of all, everybody who ever does anything has a bad day at work. Right. So we're all allowed a bad show, a bad day.
Right.
Only people that aren't allowed a bad day at work are air traffic controllers. Everybody else, it's like, you know what? Heart surgeons. There's very few. The rest of us have a bad day at work, and we come back the next day. So early in the year, I pushed back because Schneider does have a good reputation around the NFL. He's had a lot of success in the NFL. I talked to Dave Softy Muller about him a couple weeks ago before the Seahawk game, and he said that Schneider was incredibly respected among the Seahawk coaches up there for years and years and years. So one or two gaffes, especially if it was related to this new kickoff rule, one of them, they had one go back on them. It's like, okay, and then you got to kick, then you lose your kicker. Now you got a kicker that can't kick it out of the back of the end zone. Suddenly there's issues, but all I would say, and I hate this aspect of this, but what if you're not going to replace the special teams coach? What would it take for you to replace the special teams coach? What would have to happen for you to say we've seen enough? I mean, Shanahan already came out and said, I don't care about winning the game on special teams. I'm just trying not to lose it on special teams, which is already kind of a defeatist attitude about a third of the game, right? They say it's a third of the game. So maybe the Niners are not, maybe that attitude that Shanahan has about, I don't care about winning the game on special teams, I just don't want to lose it on special teams. Maybe they need to up their overall expectation. Maybe their standards are too low for special teams, and that's the issue. I don't know, but you know what? You may have to consider making changes, because how many times can you have major gaffes on special teams? I felt bad in this game because they went for the fake punt, and this time the Niners were ready. The defense was on the field. They were ready to defend it. They defended it. It didn't catch them by surprise, and you're thinking, okay. And then, you've got more huge gaffes on special teams later in the game, and it's just, I'm there. They practice special teams. I see it, but they're not getting it done. And they've tried everything. They've drafted a 3rd-round kicker, a 4th-round punter. They've signed free agents who are special teamers. They've dedicated roster spots to guys who only perform on special teams. I mean, what else do you want them to do? At some point, you gotta get results.
I'm not. It's so funny. Normally, when you're talking about special teams problems, you assume a kicker is involved. I'm not even discussing the kicker. This is about how to cover kickoffs.
But that's a problem. That kicker is a problem because Niner people were texting me before the game 2 weeks ago saying, hey, Matthew Wright is not kicking the ball into the end zone at all. All of his kickoffs are falling at the 10-yard line, falling at the 15-yard line. Get ready for a big return today. I mean, that was in the pregame, and then they took one back for a touchdown. So they almost had 2 long returns, and it was Laviska Shenault, who's not even fast. So yeah, I mean, the kicker in this new rule. I mean, think about it this way: it's a brand new kickoff with new angles. Every other team in the league is kicking it through the back of the end zone. So your kickoff coverage units have very little experience and very little things very few examples of what they can point to as how it's done right. And now you've got to defend this thing because you don't have a kicker that can kick it through the back of the end zone anymore. So now it's like you're doubly screwed. Everybody else is kicking it through the back of the end zone and you can't.
Well, again, that happened after the injury. So that created that. But again, my problem isn't with Moody, who we all hope gets back. My problem isn't with Wishnowsky, who I think is underperforming this year due to his own standards. The problem is in the coverage, running lane discipline, making a tackle in an open field. And it is just eluding the 49ers week in, week out. And that to me is the damning aspect of all of this. It's not even the actual kicking of the ball that is the worst part of this. And I hear what you're saying. Yeah, it's a lot easier to stay in a running lane if you don't even need it because the ball got kicked out of the back of the end zone. But can't Mitch Wishnowsky do that? I mean, can't you get Kyle Juszczyk to maybe do that? Can't you find a dude?
Apparently not.
Like just off a tee to kick it through the back of the like you can't sign a San Jose Earthquake to just fucking do that. Like, I mean, just go get somebody who kicks things for a living to just kick it far. You know, doesn't need any spin, just need to kick it 60 yards that way. And if you can do that, we're good. So
you would think that there would be kickers out there that could just kick it far. I mean, since we're not even talking about accurate, you know, those goalposts, you know what? Screw that. They don't even matter anymore. Just can you kick it really, really deep
out of the back of the end zone? That's all we're looking for. Leg
it's
power.
Important. It is important. I mean, that's the one thing. It's like if it wasn't important to be one thing, I mean, you might want to consider having a second kicker if they can't get this any better, because this is a major problem because guys can take them back, and you know, if you give up big kick returns, I mean, look, a 55-yard McCole Hardman kick return. I watched that thing on the binoculars from the upper deck. He had the entire Chiefs sideline was wide open. He had half the field with not a single Niner on it. And once I saw him heading that direction, I mean, I could see it. As soon as he pivoted and took a look towards the Chiefs sideline, I was like, oh my God, he's going to the house. And he was like on the 25-yard line or 35-yard line of his own 35-yard line. I'm like, he's going to take it to the house, because you could see there was not a single 49er in that side of the field. And it was unbelievable. So Brian Schneider's a pleasant guy, a nice guy, but I hate to say it, I'm with you. He's probably going to go. Probably not today, but probably a week from today.
So the worst stat of the season is something that I've been wanting to share with you here all show. Like and subscribe, everyone. Welcome to Wake Up. It's great to have you here. We're trying to change the mojo. You know, it's rough week for Bay Area sports fans. At least you got the Warriors coming back tonight. We're going to have Steph Curry starting his 16th NBA season tonight. That should be fun and interesting. Distract us a little. It was nice to have something other than just football to think about with a little NBA action. We got the World Series starting, but the Dodgers are in that, so it's not going to be fun for you to watch if the Dodgers are winning it. Bay Area fans, we get it. But here is the worst stat.
I will be doing a post-game World Series live stream on Friday night on the Krueger Show with Ned Colletti and Glenn Kuiper. So I'm looking forward to that.
Ooh, sounds fun. Sounds fun. The worst stat of the season. Jordan Mason, inside the 5-yard line this season,
right,
has 7 carries for -1 yard and 1 touchdown. He is the league's only running back to fail to score at least 3 touchdowns on 7+ goal line carries. And this is a guy who's averaging 5.2 yards per carry on every other part of the field. Every other part of the field, he is 5.2 per carry. But on a goal line, it might as well be a civilian. He might as well be you or me. That is where the 49ers are failing in this season. Again, screw your wide receiver trade. I don't need a wide receiver trade. I need Jordan Mason to get 5 yards to carry when he's looking at goal to go. That's what you need. You need Jordan Mason to be able to punch things in. The last thing I need is another failing, that wasn't designed well, that wasn't executed well, pass on the goal line to a receiver core that doesn't exactly have that goal line target, but for George Kittle. Give the ball to Jordan Mason and let him have success down there. If the 49ers had done that and had that available to them, they would be what they played 7 games, they would be 5-2. Jordan Mason pounding it in at the goal line, they're 5-2 right now.
You haven't mentioned anything about why he's struggling, but he's struggling. I think there's a couple reasons as to the why. One, it's on him. He dances too much at the line and he doesn't hit the hole
Right.
with conviction and hard enough.
Right.
There's way smaller,
on the goal line.
way better in short yardage than him because they hit the hole. He doesn't hit the hole. He kind of picks, he kind of looks for his angle. He's got really great feet and he can now catch the ball. He's got some small man characteristics, despite the fact that he's almost 240 pounds. So there's a lot to like there, but he doesn't hit the hole hard. They got to have a short yardage runner. It's weird. I mean, it's like they have Garendo. He's fast and powerful, but he fumbles, and they don't trust him in short yardage. They have Patrick Taylor, who is powerful,
runs upright,
but he runs upright, and they don't trust him in short yardage. They have Jordan Mason, who's really powerful and now versatile, can catch, but they don't really trust him, and he doesn't have effectiveness on the goal line. And then I think the other issue is I think Brendel is not getting a lot of pop in the run game up front, and their interior guys have not been quick enough. In this last game, I can tell you for sure because I just watched the all 22. On one of the goal line plays, it's a great hole for Mason, except Banks misses the block on Nick Bolton. Bolton ducks it and is sitting right there in the hole to wrap up, the running back Mason. So, I mean, it's just simple as that. So you got to get blocking done up front. You either have to fool people, you got to outquick them, or you got to move them just on mass. And the Niners aren't doing any of it. They're not fooling them with play design. They don't have the quickness to beat them to the spot. Example, Bolton beating Banks to the spot. And they don't have the power to uproot anybody out of the hole, i.e. Jake Brendel. So
they haven't been good enough at the line of coverage.
That's it. I would go to Feliciano. I really would. Now, I asked Forster, why is Brendel your best option? And he's like, oh, there's like 7 or 8 things that he does better than. But he was talking about the other guys. This was before Feliciano got healthy. Now Feliciano's healthy. Now Feliciano's ready to roll. Is Brendel still your best option? Is he still better than Feliciano? I'm going to ask that question this week, and we'll see what kind of answer I get. But I'd rather see Feliciano. He's a bigger bodied guy. I think he can move people in the run game at the point. I'd like to see Feliciano. To me, I'd rather. I mean, to me, Brendel's probably going to watch this and be like, Krueger hates me, but I would rather see either Feliciano because he's bigger or Drake Nugent because he's quicker. I'd rather have either the quickness or the size, and I think you can upgrade from Brendel. I really do.
Well, and what we have also, not to fast forward to your Ned Coletti baseball live stream, a post-game show on Friday for Game 1 of the World Series, but we're far beyond the small sample size over here. Like we've looked at the 49ers, who have had the same problem over and over through every week of this season. An interior offensive line push is not where it needs to be to open up the running game. And defensive line has not done the job either in the other direction, but that's not what we're talking about right now. And I really don't know what other options that you do have on your defensive line to solve those problems, but there are
offensive line or defensive line.
No, but there are offensive line options now presenting themselves in Feliciano. So, don't just do the same thing in the name of consistency when no one's impressed with the consistency. The 49ers cannot be impressed with their goal line consistency. And if you have Nugent, if you have Feliciano, you might as well give someone else a chance. And it's not like you can't go back to Brendel. If those two guys go in there and fail miserably, this isn't a starting pitcher you're pulling from a game. You can go right back to them. But see if you
some people would argue that we're being too knee-jerk. Why? Because against Seattle, which was just a week prior, they ran for 228 yards and allowed no sacks. So on one hand, you could look at that offensive line and say they had a really great day against Seattle. What happened against Kansas City? Well, Kansas City is first of all a way better team.
Yeah, that's what you're shooting at, by the way. That's the target.
Kansas City doesn't give up rush yards. I mean, they held everybody down this year. They held down Zach Moss. They held down Derrick Henry. They held down Bijan Robinson. They held down J.K. Dobbins. They literally held down every good running back, many of which are way better than J.P. Mason. So it shouldn't be a surprise that they did a nice job against the 49ers in the run game, but because that's all they've been doing all year. But yeah, I think the 49ers have to evaluate this next game against Dallas. Dallas is terrible against the run. They haven't been able to stop the run. If the 49ers can't just pound the run right at the Cowboys, they probably need to make a change on their offensive line. Well, but also they could use another back. I think maybe they might need I hate to say this, but they may need a short yardage back. I mean, you can't run. Having a short yardage back in your roster is essential. You absolutely have to have somebody that you feel confident that you can hand it to them inside the 5 and they can power through there. So if you don't have that guy on your roster, cut some of these guys that are on your roster and go get somebody who can run inside the 5. Bill Walsh back in 1981, Damon, at the beginning of the dynasty, when they had Ricky Patton and Lenville Elliott and Bill Ring, said, you know what? None of these guys can run inside the 5. So we picked up Johnny Davis, who was like a 240-pound back, and they ran him inside the 5. You have to have somebody who can punch it inside the 5. And if Mason's not that guy, and he might not be, you got to go out and find a short yardage back. Somebody's got to be able to score. You have to be able to run inside the 5.
Here's the thing. Quit carrying a fullback on your roster if you can't run well in short yardage situations.
Well, run him. Run him. If Juice is such an essential part of this freaking team, then run him inside the 5.
He does. I mean, here's the thing. Kyle Juszczyk has very little goal line carrying in his very few touchdowns. He's not Mike Allstat, that's for sure.
But he can hit it up there. He can hit it up there hard, right?
You would hope, you would think, but it doesn't happen. Again, my point is we're not looking at small sample sizes here. So maybe the bye week is a chance to make some bigger permanent changes, but you got a vulnerable Dallas Cowboys team that you need to take advantage of. If Micah Parsons plays, you still got to beat him. If he doesn't play, you really got to beat him. You really got to beat the Dallas Cowboys. What is it?
He's not playing. No Lawrence, no Parsons from what I'm hearing. But I mean, yeah, you have to win this game. You have to. This is a must-win game for the 49ers. They have to win it. Absolutely have to win it.
My least favorite story, Larry, because it's been a week of stories about the Niners. Oh, anxiety, everybody. What's this? What's that? Oh, what should we panic about now? My least favorite story coming out of the Chiefs game is what was Kyle Shanahan talking to Brock Purdy about at his locker? What was that? What was that about? What was that about? You know what I'm guessing it was about? Football. I'm guessing they were talking about football, specifically the football game that they had just played. While it was still fresh in their mind, they thought they'd go over a few things. This is not abstract. It is not abnormal. Again, Nobody but one person trying to make a real mountain out of this, and now we all got to bring everybody back down the mountain saying there's really nothing to look at, everybody. There's really nothing to look at. It's not like they're over there talking about wife swapping or, where to vacation. What do you like, Aruba? No, I like Mykonos. That's okay. Well, I'm glad we went over this right here, right now, Coach. They were talking about football. They were talking about the game that was just played. That's what they were talking about. It wasn't, there was no animosity.
The question wasn't necessarily about what were they talking about. I think everybody knows that they were talking about football. The question was it out of place or out of line for Shanahan to verbally scold, if that was what was going on there, his quarterback in the locker room after the game while the media was standing there?
Here's the thing. Everyone else has reported it to be this. One person has reported it to be this. Who do you believe? Everyone saying it was this, or one person?
I don't know who to believe because I didn't actually see it myself.
All
because
right.
They play this game. They play this game. They play the game, and they have Shanahan talk in the auditorium. Then they're like, "Hey, the locker room's open," but a lot of the guys aren't in there yet because they're still showering. And then they march in, Purdy and Bosa and Kittle, and so it's like, okay, do you want to sit? They make you choose basically. Do you want to sit in the auditorium and talk to guys, one-on-one as they come to the podium, or do you want to go into the locker room and go ask questions in the scrum of the rank and file player on the roster? And everybody does something different, and I usually do something different every time. I try to mix it up and do both. I wasn't in there at the point that he was talking to Brock, but I'll say this: I have been in there, and I've been standing right next to Brock as Shanahan has come in to, for these post game, let's talk about 5 plays from the game. And that's really what he does. He'll be like, hey, I guarantee you that what Kyle was saying to Brock was like, hey, look, because what the lasting memory of this game were those turnovers. And I'm sure it was about the last turnover where he's like, hey, look, on that last one, I know you're feeling pressure, and I know they're coming at you, and I know you're under the gun. I know you're just trying to make a play. But in that situation, Brock, it doesn't matter if you complete that pass or not. We need 2 scores. We got to get the field goal. We have to get the field goal. We have to keep the game going. In that situation, Brock, take the sack. Take the sack. We'll kick the field goal. We'll work it out from there. Don't force it into a tight window. And Brock said, yep. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. That would be my guess. And I think my guess is probably pretty close.
I'm guessing it was a very normal conversation about what just happened, and there's really nothing to report here. Again,
I think it was about that play too.
Consider sources, okay? Consider sources, and this is why sources need credibility, and consider sources. No one is reporting that there was anything abnormal or scolding or verbally tense between the two men, except one person. So take that for what it's worth. It's my least favorite story coming out of the Chiefs game. My other thing that I have to, I guess.
Did you hear Kyle? He goes, I didn't know you guys were in there. I didn't know you guys were creeping on me. Did you hear?
Creeping.
That's what he said. That's what he said at the press conference. I didn't see all you guys in there kind of creeping around.
Yeah, 49ers fight song has been replaced by TLC's Creep. Yeah. Okay. So look,
forgot about that song.
Here we go. Let me just talk about what happened on Monday, because so many people. Damon, you owe Deebo Samuel an apology. You owe him an apology, Damon. He nearly died for you, and you said he had a tummy ache.
What did you say? You probably didn't say he had a tummy ache. You probably called him out and called him a coward or something.
Some of you all need to stop watching football. This shit ain't for you. Okay, that's all I'm going to tell you. What I said was Deebo Samuel.
Where did you say it, by the way? On a live stream, in a tweet?
Yeah, no, on our show together on Monday's Wake Up.
Okay.
And I just said, what was wrong with Deebo? Did he have a tummy ache? How come he was unavailable? That guy better be in the hospital to miss that game. And then sure enough, he was. He had maybe the one thing that is serious enough to be like, okay, I'm not feeling well today. And he checked into the hospital for pneumonia. And then people were like, Damon, he's got pneumonia. Pneumonia! Oh my God, he's got pneumonia! Oh my God! Oh my God! What is this like Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant? Did he just get attacked by the bear and he's stranded in the exposed woods and he's suffering from pneumonia? Because if he's that, then he's in a little bit of trouble. Guess who's never in trouble? 93% of all Americans who get pneumonia between the ages of 18 and 64. So that's a big swath. The survival rate of pneumonia between the ages of 18 and 64 for just general population, people who jog, the fattest guy eating a slice of pizza right now, his survival rate is 93% between the ages of 18 and 64.
Tricksta has been set off, Damon. He said my dad died from pneumonia.
Okay, now, your dad, your old dad, what your dad wasn't.
All right.
Hold on.
Low energy.
What your dad wasn't.
The guy just said his dad died.
Larry, I'm sorry your dad died, but the elderly die of pneumonia. That's who dies.
I mean,
old people die.
It's very serious. It's very serious.
Me off, please, so I can make my point. Please. Deebo Samuel is 28 years old, in the top 1 percentile of athletic conditioning as a human can actually get, okay? Whatever that top percentile is, he's in it. And let me tell you right now, nobody dies of pneumonia in the Bay Area. There's shit that kills people in other cities in the United States that just doesn't kill you in the Bay Area. No healthy young person goes to the hospital. Now, if pneumonia triggers some other autoimmune deficiency that you have, then pneumonia compounds on an issue that you also have. But very healthy professional athletes who are 28 years old do not die of pneumonia in the Bay Area. It doesn't happen. It does not happen. So just calm down, everybody. Like, just stop it.
Well, first of all, it absolutely could. First of all, you absolutely could. Oh, is it okay for me to talk now? You absolutely could die of pneumonia at any age. It's just a matter of does it go treated or untreated.
Not in the hospital, you can't. Right?
It is a very serious thing.
It's not.
Very serious first thing. Of all I'll say is it is very, Damon, it is very serious. Pneumonia is very serious. It gets out of control. You're right. It affects older people. It kills older people.
He's home, Larry. He was so serious.
I understand.
He's home. He's home now. It's not most people get the medicine that you need and it goes away instantly. Calm down, everyone. Just Jesus Christ.
How about this? How about instead of you telling everybody to calm down, how about this? How about you fucking pump the brakes next time you want to say somebody's a coward or somebody's this or somebody's that, and I don't know, wait to see what actually is the real story and then give your opinion. That would be my suggestion.
Was he missed today's game? He was dressed and then he walked off the field
because he was ill. Okay. Right. And since we don't know what his illness was, maybe we should wait to find out what his illness is before we actually question his illness.
And what I said was you better be seriously sick for any of this to actually make sense. And he was seriously sick. And he's home now. And he's fine now. And people are like, oh, is he going to be able to play? I would imagine he's playing this Sunday. I would imagine he's playing. I'd be stunned if he weren't.
No. I was gone there for a second. I hit the mic and
okay? Did you cough?
All of a sudden I had audio problems. No, but I mean, pump the brakes on the instant. You don't have to have an instant opinion on his illness. You can just be like, oh, he's ill. We'll figure it out later. Other people, and I'm not saying you, but other people were, going to town questioning this guy's illness. It's like, dude, don't. It's like, who knows what it is, and it could be very serious. And in this case, it is very serious. So, I mean, but I will say this, in fairness to you and to others, this happened to Kev a few weeks ago. It's like we watched Javon Hargrave jake it and go like 30%, and then later in the same game, he leaves with a torn triceps. And Kev had put out, God, this is the effort from, Javon Hargrave. And then later we found out he's got a torn triceps. And now all these people are raining down on Kevin. Oh my God, but it's a timeline. now you have more information. Now you can be critical. But I didn't have that information when I made my statement. That's why it's called a timeline. And so, you know what? Yeah, there were people that said that Debo is sick and like, where is he? Why is he not in there? How sick is he? And then when you find out it's pneumonia, all of a sudden it's easy to be like all pissed off at the people that said, oh, he's just sick. Where is he? And it's just so easy to bash the people who questioned his illness once you have all the info later. But it's like it's in real time. I mean, these things happen in time. So like, yeah, he's out sick. And yeah, in my opinion, when someone says they're out sick, you should just be like, well, they're sick, and accept it at face value. Other people were like, well, how sick is he? And this and that. And then when you find out he's got something really somewhat serious, then it just gives you gives the people who want to bash you and dunk on you all kinds of ammo to be like, see, this guy was seriously ill. What happens if they announced that in the middle of the game they gave him a diagnosis? He's got Lou Gehrig's disease. Now are you insanely insensitive? Yeah, because now he's got this life-altering, debilitating, you know what I'm saying? But you didn't know that when you made your comment. And you didn't know that he had you didn't know that he had pneumonia when you made that comment. So everybody just needs to back off a little bit. And it's like everybody wants to dunk on everybody. Everybody wants to, I'll throw it now in your face. It's like, oh my God, it's so tired. It's like, yeah, how about this? For the people that questioned his illness, how about don't? How about from now on, don't question illnesses. Wait to find out what's wrong with the guy, and then you can comment. But don't question a guy's illness just because it's really low to say that he made it up. And some people were saying that. And it's really kind of without thought to say, well, you should be out there. Come on, that's kind of a cretinous thought. So let's just, from now on, when somebody says they're ill, let's just give them the benefit of the doubt that they are legitimately ill, that they're not pussies, they're not soft, they're not this, they're not that, they're just ill and can't go. So that's all I would say. And as far as, the seriousness of pneumonia, I mean, it is very serious if it goes untreated. He was never going to die from it, he is in the prime of his life, and I think he spent 2 nights in the hospital. So 2 nights in the hospital for somebody who's 27 and in great shape is pretty shocking, really. Good for him that he's over it. But all I would say is to you, as I just said, for you, I would say be a little bit more patient. But for those people bashing you, I would say, you know what? You're just doing this because you now have all the info. Well, you know what? It's easier to bash somebody in the aftermath after they stepped in shit. You know what I mean?
My whole point too was if he's sick, send him home. He shouldn't have been around the team.
I agree, especially if he was contagious. And I guess eventually he did go home.
Yeah. Well, so anyways, look, all I'm going to tell you, may all of your illnesses come with 93% survival rates. You know what I mean? So he's going to be fine. No young people who are healthy die of pneumonia in San Francisco, California. I bet it hasn't happened since the 40s. Since iron lung days and shit. So
paranoid android. Larry thinks he's almighty. No, I'm not. No, I don't. I just don't believe that when somebody says they're ill. I mean, it's human nature. Okay. It's human nature to sit there and go, man, Debo struggles against man coverage. The Chiefs play a ton of man coverage. And now suddenly he's out there, but he's ill and he's not going to play, but he's on the sideline. So he's too ill to be in the game, but he's not too ill to be sent home. And he's not too ill to go to the hospital. So there's a lot of dangling things there. And so I understand. I had the same thought that you had. I had the same thought that many people had, which was like, dude, is he dodging the Chiefs? I mean, that thought comes up. But then I didn't tweet it or say anything like that publicly because it's a little reckless and it's a little insensitive. And it opens you up to second guessing if he's legitimately sick with something serious, and he was legitimately sick with something serious, and thus it opens you up to criticism. I don't respect the people who criticize that because it's a timeline, and you made your comments based on the knowledge that you have. They're making their comments based on the knowledge they have. Well, guess what? They got a lot more knowledge. If they've got a lot more knowledge. They waited 24 hours. So, you know what I'm saying? I guess maybe the answer is, if you don't really know the seriousness of a person's illness or injury, probably should just leave it alone. That would be my overarch. You aside, anybody else aside, Debo aside, that would be. And that's not me talking down to anybody. It's just from having lived a little, being 54, that would be my assessment of that, is just be a little bit more circumspect in the future before you bash people for illness or injury, before we know what their illness or injury is. I mean, like Jay Cutler, remember that one? That's the most famous one. He took himself out of the game. He was on the sideline of a playoff game, and he looked totally fine, but he was too hurt or too whatever to play, and he took a ton of criticism because of it, because the optics didn't look good. And the optics didn't look good on this either. It's like, there he is on the sideline, and he's supposedly too sick to play and very seriously ill. You know, it didn't add up. So I understand why you made the comment. All I would say is, you know, in the future, I wouldn't do that. I would just wait and just be like, all right, he's ill. We'll figure it out later. But whatever. What bothered me the most is that every single 49er loss becomes a referendum on, is Brock Purdy the quarterback of the future? Is Kyle Shanahan good enough to keep his job, or should they run him out? And that's what bugs me, because it's like, come on, man. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. The 49ers have all kinds of problems right now. A myriad of personnel issues. They don't have the same team that they had last year. And like, there's people going, like Nick Wright did a whole video on, like, since the Ravens game. Well, since the Ravens game, Christian McCaffrey hasn't been healthy and he hasn't played at all this year. So, I mean, they're not the same team, period. And a lot of the negative numbers on the team are reflected in the quarterback. So it all kind of falls on his head. But do we have to throw out Shanahan and throw out Brock every single time?
Well, some people
lose a game?
Yes, some people do, because they don't know what they're actually looking at or understand the league or the business that they're trying to pretend to cover. And yes, some people have two retreat points. Fire everybody. The people I cover suck. That's all they got. What is nuts, though, is that per Mike Sando, I saw this aggregated on Niners Nation. An NFL executive told Mike Sando that the 49ers, quote, need to make a decision about whether they should just move on from this older core and build around Purdy, or do they trade Purdy, get stuff for him, and go with the cheaper option at quarterback.
Wow.
Why would they do that? Why would they do that?
Now, who said that? Sando?
So Mike Sando said an NFL executive told him this. I saw it aggregated on Niners Nation. I don't know where he got it, where the conversation actually happened. But, like, I just don't understand this. Brock is really good. Like, he is in absolute lockstep with his coach and vice versa. And you need that bridge to be easy to cross. And these two guys obviously talk to each other. As a matter of fact, they talk to each other in front of a locker room. Let's write 15 stories about that. Holy shit. He's 24 years old. He's in his second full-time season as a starting quarterback. He is everything that you would want to start a career with. The next guy, if you should bring in the next guy, were as good as Brock Purdy, if not even better. You would be owing him eventually the same amount of money that you're about to owe Brock Purdy. There is no Groupon that comes with the starting quarterback. There is no discount beyond the rookie deal. The reset the team to a rookie quarterback deal is a great way to make sure your team never has a good quarterback ever. I mean, that's just insane to even think about that. This is a 24-year-old kid who's off to a Hall of Fame level start in terms of statistics and accuracy and passer rating and overall success that a team can have. The only thing he's guilty of is not winning a Super Bowl. I mean, this is a pretty damn good player. And having said all that, he needs to be better. This is like the biggest bounce back week of Brock's young career here. You know, Brock, you were at the center of last week's defeat. And here comes a team that you now need to beat. You know, this was a 31 touchdown, 11 interception quarterback last year. He's got 9 touchdowns, 7 interceptions already this year. That ain't Brock. That ain't Brock. He used to have a quarterback rating of 113. This year, his quarterback rating is 91.2. That's not Brock. I think it's time to quit hunting big plays downfield for the Niners receivers that aren't getting the separation and get back to playing in that 12-yard box where you are moving the football and you're asking a guy to catch a ball and then do something with it. You can't go broke taking a profit. Look underneath. Stop looking up top for everything. Get back to being yourself. And I think the Niners.
It's for Shanahan. These are Shanahan questions. I mean, these are Shanahan questions. It's like, why did you have the best play action passing quarterback according to quarterback rating in 2023 and come into 2024 and the guy's not even 32nd in play action pass? Why are you 32nd in play action pass when your quarterback last year and this year has the best QB quarterback rating under play action? So why is that? I mean, it's to me, it's amazing that why did you get away from under center and play action pass for in the shotgun and kind of a downfield passing attack? I don't. Why make the change
without a personnel change that says you're now better equipped to do this? Right?
Yeah, I mean, why would you change anything if you have the best play action pass quarterback? Why would you use play action so little?
Right. I mean, well, you need to evolve. You need to change things up. You need to, spring a little unexpected. But it's to the point where it looks like the 49ers are running a spread offense. Brock Purdy is under center, maybe 10 times a game. And I don't understand why everything's coming out of the shotgun with a total phony baloney play action out of the shotgun that nobody is falling for. Nobody. His play action is just going through the motions of play action. Play action without a real threat of a run doesn't do anything. So it's something that the 49ers need to get back to. Again, Kyle Shanahan, when Shanahan finds something that works, it's odd how he almost goes away from it.
It's so interesting. I mean, the whole thing is so interesting. This to me, this is the most interesting topic we've brought up probably ever. First of all, Mike Sando is totally legit.
Yep.
We had him in a video that also included Wayne Newton from the Super Bowl, which was an amazing, unbelievable video. It was just a crazy video.
It was the most Vegas Radio Row video possible.
Oh, it was JT the Brick. There was Sam Batesh. There was Wayne Newton. There was, I think you might have even seen Greg Cosell walking in the background. I mean, there was a lot going on in that video. But Sando is highly credible. I believe his report implicitly that if he says an NFL executive told him this, then an NFL executive absolutely told Mike Sando this. Absolutely. But let's read that quote again. I'm now on Niners Nation. He says an NFL executive told Mike Sando the 49ers, quote, need to make a decision about whether they should just be moving on from this older core and building around Purdy, or do they trade Purdy, go get stuff for Purdy, and go with a cheaper option at quarterback? Well, first of all, this cheaper option idea is a really interesting thing because who's cheaper? I mean, he's on a rookie contract right now. You're going to have to pay him a lot because he's played really well. But isn't the goal, as you just said, Damon, to get somebody who plays really well, and then eventually you're going to have to pay them? So you're not going to be able to avoid paying a quarterback. But it is interesting because they just had Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold was a cheaper option. And now he's in Minnesota with a good surrounding cast, and he's playing really well. And I wonder if deep down, Kyle Shanahan, who had great affinity for Sam Darnold, is kind of wondering, did they make a wrong decision? Should they have kept Sam Darnold and traded Brock Purdy for a haul of picks? Because I think Brock Purdy would attract quite a package of compensation coming back, and go with Sam Darnold. Now, of course, that ship has sailed, but maybe they feel like there's another Sam Darnold. There's an awful lot of these failed former first-round quarterbacks. Maybe Kyle Shanahan looks at Zach Wilson and sees Sam Darnold. Maybe he looks at at I don't know, any number of failed quarterbacks that are out there. Maybe he looks at Justin Fields as Sam Darnold. Maybe he looks at Russell Wilson and says, I could get him out of Pittsburgh. And he could be my Sam Darnold.
There's a lot of people who are saying, so Bryce Young's off to a measurably awful start in Carolina, but you can say everything in Carolina is awful right now. Put that young talent in a new situation. What do you got?
Well, hey, how about that? You're looking at that guy. How about the other guy? Maybe he's looking at Andy Dalton and saying, I mean, not that Andy Dalton is the answer, but maybe he's looking at Andy Dalton and saying, you know what? Look how much better Andy Dalton or Carolina played with Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton can play the quarterback position. He may not be spectacular, but he can play the quarterback position. Maybe we should trade Brock and go build up around some quarterback that today nobody thinks that highly of, but tomorrow they will. So if you have a conviction on a young, available, maybe I believe that Zach Wilson badly wanted to be a Niner. And I believe that if Kyle Shanahan had the second pick in that draft, obviously he would have gone with Lawrence, number one. But if he had the Jets pick at number 2, or if the Jets, let's just say, went with Lance at number 2, he would have gone with Zach Wilson at number 3. Now, that makes a lot of people sick, right? Because Zach Wilson's been really shitty. But Zach Wilson also has had moments where he's looked pretty good. And I wonder how Shanahan feels about Zach Wilson. You can get Zach Wilson for nothing. Nothing. I mean, you could get Zach Wilson for probably nothing or close to nothing. And if you wanted to, you could trade Brock Purdy for a lot. So it does make you wonder.
I really wonder what
they are out of options. They are out of options. There's, you know what I'm saying? They don't have lots of options. But then the other part of that is, do they move on from their older core? How exactly would you do that in any kind of a way that would be a positive for the team, other than just cutting people? Are teams going to trade for George Kittle? Are they going to trade for Nick Bosa? Are they going to trade for Trent Williams? Are there big burgeoning trade markets for the Niners' expensive players?
I don't know. Offensively, Trent Williams and George Kittle would be your two biggest trade pieces because they're established as very good at what they do, and they don't have a lot left on current deals. So, what you're taking in from a money standpoint, and you're cool with it because Trent Williams is still Trent Williams, and George Kittle is. I don't even know if you can make the argument that he is slowing down. He's been one of the best 49ers playing this season. He really has been. George Kittle's having a really good year.
He's a great player.
You could definitely, I think you would get a second round return on George Kittle. I don't think you're not getting a first for a tight end. Yeah, second, third, a second this draft, a fourth in an upcoming draft. You're looking for multiple pick returns on George Kittle if you were to put him on the block today.
Today. If you did it right now.
Yeah.
Before this trade deadline, like literally in the next 2 weeks.
Right. But the Niners can't afford to trade George Kittle and then turn around and say, we're going to go win football games in a year that's supposed to matter. They need him. George Kittle means more to the Niners than the assets returned for him probably in the future would mean to the Niners. So that's why you don't do that. I just don't see it. I really don't see they're not going to move off of Bosa. They're not going to move off of Trent Williams. They're not going to move off of George Kittle. I don't think you could get a fifth rounder for Deebo Samuel if you tried. You couldn't get anything for Brandon Ayuk, who's just eternally damaged goods now, if you tried. Christian McCaffrey obviously could have gotten you something, but with bilateral Achilles tendonitis, what general manager has given you more than a third round pick for Christian McCaffrey at this point in his career? So who is the there in the trade that's supposed to reset everything? It would be getting out of salaried commitments. I mean, it would be an in-season cap dump. And I don't know if the 49ers need to do that.
Here's the question. They can make it to the playoffs because they can win their division. If they make it to the playoffs, anything could happen in the playoffs. So maybe that's the part. The Niner Nation had a poll at the bottom of that article. And the question was, do you think the 49ers should or should not move on from Brock Purdy in favor of a cheaper, younger option at quarterback? And here are the results. Only 155 people responded, but definitely should not, 59%. Definitely should trade Brock Purdy, 20%. Probably should not trade Brock Purdy, 10%. Probably should trade Brock Purdy, 8%. No opinion had 3%. If you have no opinion, why are you voting?
Why are we clicking on the poll?
Why are you clicking on the poll if you have no opinion?
Why is that an option? Well, who made the poll? First of all, if the poll creator
Niners Nation, I guess.
Yeah. That doesn't.
No opinion.
I look at it this way, Larry. Are you ready to give the keys to the castle to Tanner Mordecai?
I like Tanner Mordecai.
I know. You like everyone.
I do. I like Tanner Mordecai. I don't like everyone. I don't like everyone. I don't like Cam Newton, but I like Tanner Mordecai. But it is it's so interesting because the Niners, it makes you think. First of all, the idea of getting a younger, cheaper quarterback than Brock is so crazy because Brock is a 24-year-old guy and he makes no money right now. He's due to make money, but you can control how that works. And, that's a negotiation. I mean, you don't have to pay him $60 million. You could pay him less. I mean, but he could hold out for more and then it could be ugly and this and that. But if there was a young quarterback or two, Damon, like right now, I would rather take a chance. Like I'm looking at roster building. Like if all of a sudden I became an NFL general manager and I had a team that had no talent anywhere and I just needed to start, everybody I have sucks, right? So I don't have any incumbents, let's just say. I would have a hard time deciding, do I go into the draft like the Bears just did, like the Commanders just did, and try to handicap the draft for the great young quarterback of the future, or like most teams do? Or do I say, you know what, heck with that. You know what, I'm going to take a chance on one of these quarterbacks that were supposed to be the quarterback of the future that bombed in his first spot, and I'm going to go try to find that guy who's far cheaper and try to, have a reclamation project. Would you rather try to pick a quarterback out of the draft, or would you rather look around at the Bryce Youngs and the yesteryear top tier quarterbacks that haven't done it yet and say, hey, I can find one of these guys and turn them into Sam Darnold?
Well, I mean, this is what Tampa did with Baker Mayfield, essentially, right? They looked at somebody else's not good enough for them. We think in a better situation, he'll be more than good enough for us. And they've had an awful lot of success with it. So, I mean, there's lots of different ways to team build and skin a cat. And that's one of them. I mean, to me, this show has been about roster construction and possible trades and what could be done. And could you flip this guy into that guy and get a different outcome with this guy if you use that guy and blah, 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 blah. To me, what I would like to see the 49ers do is not make any of these trades, not plan anything more for the future or down the road, and just put in Feliciano for Brendel and see if you can't get Jordan Mason to punch one in on 1st and goal. Like that to me is where the whole thing needs to start. It's not another wide receiver because no wide receiver can help you there. I would make some internal changes to see what you got against the Cowboys and then go into that bye week and coach them up, coach. Like Kyle Shanahan, you drafted these players. You've committed to Ronnie Bell's year 3. You kept him. So go get something out of your guy now. You think he's this good to be on your team? Go get something out of him now. Go get something out of him. Promote a wide receiver and use him as a slot if you need. Promote a running back that you think could play well in the slot. If you can get some hands there, do anything. Where's Mason Pline? Let's get him up and see if he can give you anything that is a big body, different end zone look for a red zone attack. Do something with what you got. Stop looking to always replace what you got with something new, because I don't even think the 49ers have time to acclimate guys into this, really. They don't.
They're not one addition away, but it is interesting. Like, if you could only do one or two things to the team, what would make the biggest impact? I agree. Like on the off, like you need maybe some help on the offensive line, but there's no offensive lineman available, and you have Feliciano sitting there, so maybe that's the move. Maybe you promote Feliciano to set to the starting center spot. But like, you don't have solutions like that on all parts of your roster. Some of the roster, there aren't any options on the practice squad or on the bench or whatever. If you said to me, what would, you can't make every move. You can only make a few. What would you do? Okay. I think I definitely think that I need a more speed at wide receiver. I think it would create space for everybody in the passing game.
Kirk. Christian, how about this?
Christian Kirk, he's got a bad contract, Damon. I looked at it. It's $28 million. He's got a $28 million cap hit the next couple of years. So it's really a bad contract. I don't know. I don't know if it could be redone or ripped up or what. I don't know. But the contract would be the only thing that would concern me there.
You got big money.
Like a speed at wide receiver. And then I would say defensive end or defensive line. Defensive end for sure, because you've got there's talk that the Browns, who have the Deshaun Watson deal, may trade Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett would be that I'm trading picks for Myles Garrett. The only thing the two areas I'd be interested in: defensive end and speed at wide receiver. If I could add speed at wide receiver or defensive end, I'd be interested.
I'd trade you next year's first rounder for Myles Garrett.
Yeah, he's pretty damn good. I got a conference call that I got to do in a few minutes, but let's hit some starred chats because we got 16 of them here.
Let's do it.
Brandon Davenport, way early on, before we even discussed it, threw this one in. It wasn't a super, but he said the 49ers should trade Brock Purdy. There you go.
Yeah,
He was reading Niners Nation. I don't think so either. Fuji Simeon said, congrats on 50K, Larry. Let's get Damon to 25. How far are you away from 25?
Let me see. Let me give you a live. How far away are we? Update.
Is it today kind of a thing?
Require math. I'm 51 subscribers away, Larry.
It is a today kind of thing. So everybody, we got 2,000 people hanging out here. Go over and give Damon a like and a subscribe over on his channel, and let's get him to 25K. Fuji Simeon says, R.I.P. Fernando Valenzuela. Yeah. However, as a Giants fan, I still want the Dodgers to lose the World Series. Chiefs look like they're getting DeAndre Hopkins. Chiefs got
put the Dodgers over the top, Larry. It really should. They got the ghost of Fernando now rooting for him over Halloween, and that's probably pretty good for the cosmos for the Dodgers. And let me just say this. I was 6 years old in 1981 when Fernando Mania happened. And it's one of the first names from the world of sports that I became aware of in my childhood. And I used to walk around with the thickest Spanish accent the 6-year-old Damon Bruce could muster. And I'd be like, Fernando Valenzuela. I just loved how sing-songy it was. That's a great name, a great figure, mythical for the Dodgers. So rest in peace, Fernando. A little bit of my childhood right there.
Yeah, there's so many things I want to say about Fernando. We don't have enough time, but I do want to just say rest in peace, Fernando. I shared a meal with him in the media room at Oracle Park, a couple of years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago now. And he's just such a friendly guy, such a nice guy. And as a little kid, I was 11 in 1981, and we used to play a lot of strikeout, and I was right-handed, but I used to do that same look to the sky thing because Fernando did it, he was a sweetheart of a guy, man. He was an absolute sweetheart of a guy. And he would have been a Yankee if the Dodgers had waited 10 more minutes because the Yankees came across with a monster offer in the 11th hour. But Fernando was a absolute sweetheart of a human being. Fuji Simeon said, should the Niners try to trade for Luke McCaffrey or Rice's kid? Do the 49ers need to add another running back? See, Larry, this Crusader knows how to use a question mark. LOL. Good one. I don't think Commanders are making that deal. I don't think the Chargers are making that deal. I don't think do the Niners need to add another running back? Yeah, I think they do.
I don't think that the answer to any of the Niners questions is answered with a rookie unless it's one of their own.
Yeah. Fuji Simeon says, how about Jerry Jeudy? I don't know if that's a fit. Fuji Simeon says, Larry, the best perk for Kev is not the pay, nor the opportunity to be a father-son duo like Ken Griffey or LeBron or Bronny. No, it's the 24/7 refrigerator access. Pillaging a fridge is awesome. Yeah, there you go. He said that the other night. He's like, Dad, I eat really well here. Yeah. Mike Baker says, feels like we are chasing 500 instead of chasing number 6. Yeah, well, that's true. The Niners haven't won back-to-back all year. Jerry Schetzel says, we have Jennings. He's been our best receiver and will step up because he's clutch and he's a big target. Pearsall, Debo, Kittle, Mason is enough. Jennings will shine. He does not shy from the moment, no doubt.
I hope you're right. He's got a huge opportunity in front of him, man. He can become one of the more beloved stories of the entire year if he puts together like a really good 10-game stretch here.
Mike Baker says, Larry, when you see Kyle, does he seem tired and beat up? Yeah, he does. He really does. Angel Moreno says, Lawrence Edward Krueger. Oh my God, I feel like my mother has entered here. She says, if they lose Sunday, is it a fire sale? Yeah, I think so, possibly. Is some bull crap. The Madden curse was supposed to only F CMC, not the whole team. Oh yeah, well, Madden curse. It lives on. Kevin Wood, member for 10 months. Thank you, Kev. He says, people hoping the 49ers fire Kyle is so dumb. York wanted McDaniels before Kyle and fired Harbaugh. His dad fired Mariucci. History says they'd fuck up. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I don't trust it. All-Star Luna, Damon, it'd be different if you had it, brother. Just apologize. So he's back to the illness. Angel Morillo says, oh shit, Damon is a doctor now. Please tell me more.
Yeah, I'm sharing statistics that are medically proven.
Anthony LaRosa, how would you feel about picking up Jalen Waddle? Oh, I'd love it. You can really run. They need speed. I think they need speed. Fuji Simeon, Cam
Larry. I mean, Jalen Waddle's got one of them Debo level contracts, so look out for that.
Somebody last night said Tyreek Hill. Fuji Simeon says Cam Newton is now on ESPN First Take. I'm shocked. Oh God.
No, someone's got to wear a stupid hat on TV.
I mean, seriously, he is just awful. Blood Moon, would you guys draft Shador Saunders and Hunter?
I saw Cam Newton at the Super Bowl, Larry. Like, I had no idea he was that big. I knew he was big.
Oh, he's huge. He's 6'6".
Dude, it's insane.
I like Hunter. I like Travis Hunter. Shador Sanders, not as much, but I like Hunter quite a bit. Jordan Pena. What about Jamison Williams from Detroit? What about him? He's in Detroit. James Ace is a new member. Hey, James, welcome aboard.
It's a
all right, Damon. That's going to do it for us. You got a final thought?
Yeah, show me Sam's Chatterhouse on the way out the door so I can get a moment of zen before we wrap up this show. I want to invite everyone to join me at 11 o'clock. We're going to talk about what happened in Los Angeles last night. Lakers, LeBron, and Bronny. It was equal parts very cool and special, and totally a bastardization of how teams are supposed to work. I don't know if there's ever been an athlete who has controlled the situation like LeBron gets to control the Lakers. It's fascinating. We're going to be talking about it and many other things coming up at 11 o'clock on Damon Bruce Plus. So I hope to see everyone over there. And again, what Larry, we had a couple thousand people. If they all jumped in and gave us, several have. Now we are 47 subscribers away from 25K. Congratulations again to you and Kevin.
Thanks, man.
On hitting 50 yesterday. And we will talk to everyone on Friday. It is a big preview 49er Cowboy Friday. What are we cooking, Larry? Who are we going to bring on the show to help preview that game?
We do have somebody booked. Let me just double check it. I don't know the name yet, but I have the book. I have the person booked. I think. No, I don't. I'm not sure if I have somebody yet, but I have a bunch of people that we will have a guest. We will definitely have a Cowboy guest Friday for Wake Up. So I'm not sure who it will be, but we'll definitely have one. That's going to do it for us.
Should I call Bonnie Jill?
We might have to. No. I've got a bunch of people request out. Tonight, I'll live stream with Paulie Mack. I got Niners Nightly tonight. Jordan Elliott stopping by. I'm off to Niner camp right now. 12:30. Shanahan will be speaking in the conference room, and he's a football guy. Damon, have a great Wednesday. We'll see you all next week on Friday for Wake Up. Peace.